All right, magic makers. We all have those seasons that throw us for a loop. I hear regularly, oh, the holidays. Oh, I can't do anything. It's the holidays. I'm so busy. Summer. That's another time people are like, oh my God, summer, and I get it, right? Kids are out of school. I live in New England, and so we get 2 minutes of summer. So I am all about how can I maximize these 2 fabulous minutes. Kids are home, maybe work gets a little bit busy. Maybe work gets a little bit less busy. I have a lot of clients who are teachers and they have a lot of free time. And so, they're like, this is the season that I'm going to like pump it up and, so start to really get my shit together. And then I have other people who are like, you know what, I just want to kick back and I just want to enjoy summer. And so if wherever you are, you can take this, I want to say when I use summer, let's make it fluid, right? I believe that every 90 days, we need to reevaluate where we are. And, at the beginning of, and it could be a traditional um, seasonal, it could be a traditional quarter, right? So if we were in a corporate environment, it's January 1st kicks off Q1. We have April 1st kicks off Q2. We have June 1st kicks off Q3, and then we have October kicking off Q4. So we can look at it that way. We can look at it by season, where December 21st is winter, March 21st is spring, June 21st is summer, and then September 21st is fall, right? So we can look at it we can slice this apple any which way you want to slice it. And you know how I am. For me, I'm like, figure out what your apple looks like, figure out what your pace of the race looks like, because where many of us get disappointed, where many of us our expectations fall short, is that we tell ourselves how it has to look. It has to look a certain way. It has to look like however Sharon did it, how Sharon did it, how Susan did it, how Lori did it. Well, guess what? You're you. And I know that as soon as I stopped chasing what other people are doing, I found my stride, right? And I think I've shared this before. So I used to work with the coach that pretty much if you were running a charity race in Boston for the Boston Marathon, he was your coach. And he is the most laid back, awesome guy I've ever met in the entire world. John Ferry, I love you to pieces. So I remember it was like my first year working with him, and we were probably about like a month out from the marathon. And I said, John, when you see, the elite runners coming through, they are sprinting. And I used to work on the last mile of the marathon, right? So you would go outside and you would see these marathoners and they're literally sprinting, running like, they stole something. And I'm like, how after running, 25-ish miles are they freaking sprinting to the finish line? And, basically he was like, every elite runner, every regular runner, what your pace is, right? So it's like you start the race a little bit below what your pace is. And as you work through the race, you add on, you add on, you add on. And regardless of if you're running, a full marathon or you're doing, if you're a sprinter, I used to do an event called Tri Fitness, and by the end of it, you were literally sprinting for 400 yards. And so for those of you who are like, what's 400 yards? If you've ever seen a track, and I think many of you have seen a track, I think many of us have been tortured on a track in gym class. 400 meters is the full loop around a track. And so when I was training for it, I had to be able to run the full track and clearly I'm going to be breathless. And so I remember asking my good friend Kelly, and I'm like, hey, Kelly, she used to run the 400 sprints in high school, and she was a D1 athlete. And I said, well, how do you do that? And she's like, every 100 meters, you add on, you add on, you add on, you add on. So by the time you get to that 300th meter, you're a full out sprint for the last 100 meters. And that is gassing. I'm not gonna lie, that is very gassing. And it's a thing I do every summer long. Like every summer, I go to a track at least twice a week, and I sprint. And for many people, sprinting is hard. Yeah, it's hard. But one of the things I do know about sprinting, like one, if you know anything about me, running is not my jam. I hung up my running shoes 10 plus years ago, and you won't see me running more than 400 yards. And I sprint, and at least 2 times a week, I go to the track or sprint in my driveway. And I sprint. And one of the reasons why I keep sprinting is because sprinting is really good for your cardiovascular system. One, two, it is great strength training for your lower body. And when I say sprint, I'm talking outside on the pavement. I'm not talking about how fast can I run on a treadmill, because the treadmill is actually helping you. And so think about sprinting, and it could be just 50 yards, and I'm not asking you to become a runner, because Lord knows this girl ain't becoming a runner. I'm saying it is a great way to just explore your explosiveness. It's a great way to explore your power. It is a great way to, get in a nice lower body. If you think about all the track athletes, I going back in the day to FloJo, Jackie Joyner Kersey, Marion Jones, to recent Allison Felix, right? They all have phenomenal lower bodies, and it's because they sprint, right? They are just like, how fast can I freaking run? And sprinting is, you don't have to be Usain Bolt going for a gold medal, going for the world record. Hell, it could be the world record of you. Like, my goal is that, like, I'm like, this is what I started at. I can't even remember where I started at. Let's just say, to sprint 50 yards, it took me 3 minutes, right? I have no idea. And I'm like, you know what? By the end of the summer, can I shave that off? Can I shave 10 seconds off that? That's all I'm looking for. Like, it's me versus me. And we are our biggest judge, right? We are our biggest critic. And it's just me versus me, just being able to set my own personal records. So it's one of the things that every May in my Fit Girl Magic Society, every May is sprint month, right? Because it's just before it gets too hot for anybody, and I have clients all over the country, and a few international clients. And so it's before it gets really hot out, and that you're going to be like, oh, hell no, I ain't running outside. And if for some reason you're like, it's already too hot for you, sprint in the group fitness room, right? It's like, do suicides. Trust me, those things will cook like that. Those things that'll stamp your passport like nobody's business. So this was a complete aside. I had a complete different agenda, and I like took a left turn, and I just kept going with it. But what I really wanted to talk about today was, how can we have that guilt-free summer, right? How do we have, and I say summer, I'm saying 12 weeks, like 12 weeks where I am not obsessing about eating. I'm not obsessing about my workouts. And I don't know how many summers I spent not having a guilt-free summer. I don't know how many times I spent anxiety ridden about, okay, going away for the weekend. Could I go to the gym? Is there a place for me to sneak away and go to the gym? Then I would be, scrutinizing the menu of the restaurant like I was having an exam on the restaurant. And then that's not even talk about the torture I gave to the waiter/waitress about what was in it. Then let's not talk about the cooler full of food that I would pack so I could have fucking cold chicken coming out of a Ziploc bag with soggy vegetables, right? So let's not even talk about that. Or, protein powders and bars. And, I look back at that and I cringe at myself, because I let food control me. Like, I was so afraid of food. If one little slip up, I was off the rails. And it was because I was holding on too damn tight. And what I see women just like me. And if you're listening and you're like, you don't know Kim, hey, I don't know, right? I don't know you. I know me. And I know that one day I just got sick of my own shit. I know one day I just didn't want to be that girl. And even now, some of my friends will be like, oh, Kim, I made sure we have, cottage cheese in the fridge. And I'm like, damn it. Like I was that person who, like, if I would go to your house, I would immediately, either if I didn't bring my cooler full of food, I would have to go to the grocery store. Right. And so I have, I still go to the grocery store, but I'm not in a manic, like it has to happen like right now. Like I can chill a little bit now. I can know that like one off track meal isn't going to send me into a spiral. And that's what I want for you, right? That's what I want for you. And so as we get into the summer, right? Know that if summer is like a busy time, that you are shuttling your kids from this activity to the next activity and so forth. If you know that you have a summer home, or you are spending multiple weekends away visiting friends who have summer homes, great. So let's start to get kind of like map out, like, what is summer going to look like for me, so that we're not trying to keep up with the same routine, right? If if right now in your, I'm going to call it off season, you're able to go to the gym 5 days a week, but knowing that we're moving into a season that you're traveling a bit more, or you might have more guests coming, and that your regular routine is going to be disrupted, here's where I'm going to say, hey, what looks realistic for you? All right, that's the first place that we start. We're like, okay, what does this summer look like? And for many of us, we have a little bit of an idea. Many of us already know the activities we've signed up our kids for, or there are, many of you, the third week in August, you always rent the same beach house, or you always go and visit so and so's beach house, or 4th of July, you do this, or Labor Day, you do that. Right. So we know, like, some of the things we kind of know, so we can start to block that stuff out, and then kind of start to like build things around that. And so that if we start to say, how do I, create a realistic goals? And, one of the easiest ways to create that realistic goal is I'm a good, better, best, right? So depending on the week. If it is a week I'm home and everything looks great, I'm there. I'm at the gym 5 days a week, right? There's no reason for me not to be at the gym 5 days a week. If it's an okay week, I'm there 4 days a week. And if it's a week, I'm there 3 days a week. And that's what my schedule looks like. But I want you to look at your schedule and say, okay, what is my good? What is my better? And what's my best? And be okay with it. And if it looks different than what it looks like in a non-summer month, a non-busy season, that's all right, right? Because you shouldn't feel guilty because we are getting a little bit off track. That's okay. Like, there's going to be some minor variations, and it takes months and months of, and I'm saying, like, you being like bedridden, not doing anything, for you to truly, I'm going to say, lose your gains. All right. And so, but I also want you to start to think about, like, as we start to kind of set these like real expectations, like, okay, what would my workouts look like? What are my bare minimums for food? And, it always comes down to, like, my non-negotiables, like, these are my non-negotiable things. Then I want to say, you know what? Summer, this is our second-ish summer without like a lot of true restrictions. So I want to say, like, what is my summer bucket list? What are some of the things, like, is there a park that I want to go to, a museum? Are there movies coming out? I think nowadays they're talking about, what are the blockbusters that are going to be happening this summer? What are the adventures that I want to go on? Are there friends that I want to make sure that I see? Because a lot of us, we're living in isolation for a long time. So start to think about, like, what is that summer bucket list, and how do we start to create that fun? The one thing that my husband and I have been doing for the last probably like 10 years is that we really start to think to ourselves about experiences, right? Experiences over things. And no one wants to like look around and be like, oh, I wish I went to the Grand Canyon, or I wish I went to Paris, or you know what I mean? So it's like, how do you have whatever the experience that you want in your life? How do you start to have some of those now? And maybe we can start to create some of those experiences now, because I think back of like the stories that we tell, and it's just like the experiences that I had with my family, I had with my friends, are the things that I always remember more than, like, remember that sweater you brought me? It was fabulous. I don't know where it is, right? All right. So, and as I said, here the other piece is my non-negotiables, right? figure out, it's really easy to get lost in the days, it's really easy to just kind of like wake up and then all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock, right? I have those days too. But it's like, here's where we have to start to thrive with structured flexibility. So there's some structure so that the day just doesn't nibble away from us. So that if, your kids are like, I'm bored, like 4 million times. So maybe it's like on Mondays, you go to a movie. On Tuesday, you go to the library. On Wednesday, everyone goes to the gym, and, there's daycare at your gym, or you guys work out together in the backyard, or go to the park or whatever, so that every day, like, you have a little bit of something that you look forward to, especially when the kids are around, and they kind of involve them in the party, right, versus keeping them separate. Share meals. You might be finding yourself eating out more or doing more takeout because it's too damn hot to cook. um share meals. A lot of times, sometimes I'm not hungry, like the heat makes me not as hungry as I am from time to time. So my husband and I will, like, I'll get a salad, because my big thing is I'm always trying to get at least 6 cups of vegetables every single day. So, like, I'll get a salad, and then my husband and I'll split an entree. Or he'll get an appetizer and we'll split the entree, because it's like eating out, like, I never want anyone to feel like, oh my God, I can't eat out, because I was the queen of interrogating the chef and making my own meals. But it's, depending on the restaurant portions, they are huge, and they're loaded with calories and fattening ingredients that we would never use at home. So, I remember, this is God, probably like 10 years ago. There was a restaurant that my husband and I like to eat at, and they had tables, like they had like a bar in front of the kitchen, and so, like, we actually saw the chefs cooking, which is interesting but also not interesting. And we just saw how much butter and oil they put in the pan, and it was just ridiculous, the amount. So when you're eating out, I want you to enjoy it, but when at home, you're never going to use the same amount of oil or butter that they use at a restaurant. So it's okay to share, go out, but share the meal. And then make healthy choices, as healthy choices as you can. And again, going back to the good, better, or best, because I have my old client, Mary. She was the queen of vacation. She loves to travel, and I get it. I like to travel too. And she would go on vacation, and it would be like Release the Hounds. She would get buck fucking wild and just be like, if it wasn't nailed down, she went in her mouth. She was like, I'm on vacation. And I was like, Mary, I want you to be on vacation, but you can also find a way to find this, like, navigate the middle, right? Versus, like, I'm only going to have salad with, salad, or if it's not nailed down, it's going in my mouth. Like, what is that middle meal? And so that you don't have to throw out your healthy eating habits right out the window. And so it's like, you kind of start to say to yourself, you're right, okay, I want dessert tonight. I'm going to a place, and they're known for whatever they're known for. One of my clients, she's going to Aruba. So this is in my mind. So there's a place in Aruba that is known. They have this pasta that they put inside of a wheel of Parmesan cheese. It is absolutely fabulous. And the next time I go to Aruba, you bet your sweet bottom, I'm getting that. So for me to get that, that means, like, okay, I'm going to budget for that pasta dish. So that means maybe I'm not going to have that glass of wine, and maybe I'm not going to have dessert, but me and that pasta, we are going to town. All right. So I want you to start to think about, like, what are some of the trade-offs that I can make, and not in this, like, I have to punish myself. It's like, hey, I really want that yummy appetizer. I really want that yummy entree, but can I have it all? And if I decide that I'm going to have it all, great. Make that decision, make it work, and move on. But keep your portions in check. Right? I don't have to leave there like, I gotta unbutton my pants. I have a food baby. Like, no, let's just be like, you know what? I'm gonna eat until I'm full. Two or three forkfuls left on my plate, and be okay with it. Because you want to enjoy yourself without feeling deprived, or being like, oh, I just can't have that. And clutching your pearls. And when it comes to alcohol, I'm never that coach that's going to say, girl, what are you doing drinking that booze? But instead, make a choice. Say, you know what? I'm going out and I'm only going to have 2 glasses of wine. I'm going to go out and I'm only going to have, you know, 3 drinks. I'm going to go out. I'm going to have no drinks, right? Decide what that looks like, or decide that, if I'm away for 7 days, I'm going to drink every other day. And, again, when I drink every other day, it's not going to be like I'm shutting down the bar, because if you have fat loss goals, as much as I will tell you not to have a drink, it's, marketing tells us that it's the carbs in the alcohol. They'll tell us it's the sugar in the alcohol. It is the alcohol in the alcohol. And while carbs have 4 grams of 4 grams of calories for 4 grams for every calorie that you consume, protein has 4 grams for every calorie that you consume, fat has 9 grams, alcohol has 7 grams for every calorie that you consume. So with that said, there is a cost. And if I'm looking to lose fat, alcohol is the first. If I have a lot of fat to lose, alcohol is the first thing that's burnt before fat, because alcohol is pretty easy. So, cut yourself off at the second drink. Have wine spritzers, because it's half wine, half club soda. Focus on distilled beverages versus the fruity, tropical blended drinks. And so then when you're out, if you're on vacation and you're seeing someone or traveling somewhere, do your best to like pack a good cooler full of food. And I'm not saying this is like your cooler for the week. I'm saying, I know that it's going to take me like 3 hours or 4 hours to get to wherever I go. I actually, I have friends who drive to Nova Scotia, and it's 9 hours. So you're in the car for 9 hours. So think about, what are the foods that I can bring for this 9-hour road trip? Or I'm going to the beach all day, or to a park, or to the lake for the day. What are the things that I can like pack in there? Like, so healthy sandwiches, fresh fruit, pre-cut vegetables, nuts, protein shakes, bars, water, so that, I know that I can make better choices. That if I pull over to a rest stop, I'm not, grabbing the trail mix. And even though the trail mix is healthy, no one ever stops. I think it's like a quarter cup. No one ever stops it. You're like, you're going to finish a whole damn bag, so think about, what are the things that I can bring along with me on, on my road trip, or going to the beach. And the biggest thing about summer, it's all about the planning ahead. And now I know a lot of people, planning is like, it stresses me out. I like to be a little spontaneous. Me too. Trust me, I'm a planner / I'm spontaneous. It's kind of weird. I'm a hybrid. But I have to look at my week ahead of time. And I'm like, okay, so going on vacation next week. So what are the things I need to do this week? And then while I'm on vacation, what are there things that I'm looking forward to? Like I said, if I was in Aruba, that pasta in the wheel, it's delicious. I'm not going to miss out on it. I live here in New England, and if I was going somewhere and I'm like, there's a place in Maine that are known for like an amazing lobster roll. It's like the size of your bleeping head. I'm going to have that, right? So it's just like, think to yourself as like you're going through the week, am I going out to dinner and I'm looking forward to it? There's a place here in Boston that they make these amazing Kobe meatballs. You bet your sweet bottom, when I go to that restaurant, I'm going to have that. So I want you to think about like, what are the things in your week that like you might be looking forward to? Maybe you're going to a friend's house and they're an incredible cook, right? So then I'm going to like create this like fun budget that I'm going to spend on that particular meal because I like it, right? It brings me joy. Or, there's an amazing ice cream place that you're like, you want to bring your kids to, or just if you have no kids, you want to go to, and go and not be like, I'm just going to have 2 licks of yours and I'm going to be fine. Bullshit, right? Like, let's start to get less restrictive and start to say, how do I start to incorporate more of this fun? if I'm, spending a week at a beach house or something like that, just do some Googling, see if there is like a farmer's market that you can stock up on fresh fruits and vegetables. Here in New England, the deeper we get into the summer, by like June and July, like the farmers markets are more than like lettuce. We're having some really good fruits and vegetables come into season. Um, if I'm staying at a hotel, sure, if they're known for the pancakes, have their pancakes, but can I have a side of eggs? Can I have a side of Greek yogurt, to make sure excuse me, I'm keeping up with my protein. Um, and while I'm on vacation, it's not about like, sticking to your diet 100%, but it's not also not like being like, the diet is at home along with the dog. It's like, okay, well, how do I do my best? Right? Do my best without making myself crazy or those around me crazy. And just like I said, choosing, you know, being choosy about, what it is that I'm going to do. And if something is, tastes phenomenal, I'm going to make sure that I have it. And, if, there's a place that's known for a phenomenal drink. A few weeks ago was my birthday, and we were at this restaurant, and they're known for craft cocktails. And so I'm like, okay, they're known for craft cocktails. So I had a couple of craft cocktails because it's something that they're known for, versus, you know, going to some random bar and having a drink. I'm like, no, I'm like, you know what? They're known for cocktails. So before I left, I was like, that was the decision of like, I'm going to have this and that's going to factor in to my evening. Or, hey, it's my birthday. And while I'm not going to go buck wild, I'm going to give myself a little bit more latitude than I normally would if we were going out to dinner. When it comes to exercise, think about exercising half the days you're away. So if I'm somewhere and and this is if I'm physically on vacation. If I'm at home, again, figuring out that good, better, best rhythm for me based on like, what does that week look like? But if I'm physically, at a hotel, I'm on vacation, I'm at hotel. If I'm at a hotel on vacation, I'm at a beach house, something like that. It's like, I my I do my best to try to stick to my schedule, but I also, sometimes I'm with friends. And so I don't want to be like, the girl who used to like get up at like 5 a.m. and make sure I got my workout in before to earn my my free time. So make it a goal to see if you can work out at least, half the days you are away. It can be, a run, it could be a walk, rent a bike, paddleboard, kayak, canoe, look at your Fitbit, are we getting at least 5,000 to 10,000 steps every single day? And, it's like, as we are, working away, that there's so many ways to get in a workout nowadays. One of the blessings and the curses about Rona is that many people realize that like, I don't have to physically haul my cookies to the gym in order to get a workout. I can work out at home. So, maybe the place you're staying has a Peloton, or you have a Peloton at home and you can use the Peloton app to get great workouts. In my Fit Girl Magic Society, I make sure that the workouts I give the girls can easily be adapted to any situation, right? If I only have dumbbells, great. That's all we have, dumbbells. We'll make this work. But also, walking, if you, a few years ago, I went on vacation and I knew we weren't renting a car. And I said, I want to at least get 10,000 steps a day. So it forced me to explore the city, versus getting trapped in going to a particular, getting trapped into going into a particular gym. So it's like, as we are, starting to think about summer, I really want you to say, like, how do I want my summer to go down, right? Because the clearer I am about what I want for my summer, then I can set my expectations accordingly. And as I started this podcast off with like, don't expect for your summer to look exactly like your winter, because it's like you might have all the time in the world in the winter time. You don't have competing schedules. The kids probably are in school, and you have, at least 5 days to yourself to that, the kids are somewhere from, whatever time school starts, like let's say 8 to 2, right? From 8 to 2, that's your time. Determine what your choices are, right? What are the choices you have for food? What are the choices you have for workouts? And how are you going to make that work for you, right? And then, I always come back to this, because sometimes people say, oh, my motivation wanes. Your motivation is your why. So I want to ask myself, like, and let's call it 90 days. Let's just say from May 1st to September 1st. What do I want? Right? Sure, great. I want to enjoy my summer, but I want to enjoy my summer while not making myself crazy. I want to enjoy my summer without feeling guilty. I want to enjoy my summer without any stress or anxiety about how much I'm working out or what I'm eating, right? So decide what it is that you want out of the summer. And then you might need to get creative, because it might not look like you going to 4 soul cycle classes a week. It might look like maybe you can only hit 1 a month and be okay with that. Maybe it looks like a lot of your workouts are you in a video. Maybe it's you in some type of virtual workout. Maybe it's you and dumbbells at home. Maybe it's you and I know here in Boston we have like a outdoor workout area, like on our Esplanade. Maybe that's where you're working out. But start to kind of like get creative, think outside of the box. Maybe you say to yourself, maybe you come up with your own non-negotiables. You have the courage to say, okay, life isn't going to be, what it is right now, but I'm going to have the courage to say, okay, if I do these 3 things, and I'm huge on creating these non-negotiables. And let me just tell you, 1, they're freeing, but 2, if you ever like, oh, I got so off track, if you say, but if I do these 3 things, I know I didn't get that far off the rails. And so I want you to really think about what that looks like. What does that look like for you? And, this year I've been mixing up my non-negotiables, and now my 2 non-negotiables that I'm working on is I'm getting at least 30 grams of protein with my meals, and I usually eat about 3 or 4 meals a day. And then I'm working my way towards 800 grams of fruits and vegetables. And like 800 grams of fruits and vegetables, that looks like 5 to 6 cups of fruits and vegetables every single day. So those are my 2 non-negotiables. And it's a little bit challenging right now, but what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, as I say. And then finally, that consistency, right? And so that's the piece that everyone is missing. It's like, how do I just keep going, right? How do I keep going even when it doesn't look like it's working? How do I keep going when I am not nailing this every single time I do it? Because I will tell you, I am not nailing my 800 grams. I am not nailing it. I am anywhere from 300 to 200 grams shy. And so what does that say to me? Not like, oh, I need to go find something else. No, it says, all right, Kim, what do you need? How can we add on? And so every week I'm like, how do I add on? How do I add on? How do I find 300 more freaking grams? And so is it increasing my portion? Is it adding, more to what I'm having? Is it changing my snack? So it's like, it's becoming a puzzle. And I want to tell you, I'm not doing this alone. And I don't want you to feel like you're doing it alone. And this summer I'm creating a consistency challenge so that you can say, how can I be more consistent instead of always chasing after said diet? Like, I want you to be so accountable to yourself that you just like, next summer, you're not like, oh my God, summer, fuck it, I'm just waiting until fall, I can't do anything. No, we are going to be so consistent that you're not even gonna recognize yourself after the challenge is over. You're going to be like, dang, this is what consistency look like. So if that sounds like you, do me a favor. The link in the show notes will talk about all you need to join this consistency challenge that's coming up later this summer. All right, magic makers, as always, do me a favor. Was there one thing that you learned? Anything that was like, that was your aha moment? Let me know, and I will talk to you next week. Enjoy the rest of this week.